Today's lesson is adding and subtracting fractions. Our objectives is to add and subtract fractions and to add and subtract mixed numbers. So we'll start off easy with a common denominator already given to us. So if you look on A, on example 1, the common denominator is 3. Remember, the denominator is the bottom number. You have a numerator and then a denominator. Alright, so our common denominator is 3. And then on the top you'll have 2 and 1, your numerator, plus you're going to add whatever operations in the middle, and that's a plus sign. This is only happening with adding and subtracting. Please don't do this with any others. So 2 plus 1 is 3, and you leave the denominator the same. And then you ask yourself 3 divided by 3 if you can, and it's a whole number, and that would be 1. B, common denominators, and it's 8. And then you take your two numbers, 5 and 3, and it says to subtract them, so we'll subtract them. So 5 minus 3 is 2 over 8. And then on this one I can reduce. There's a number that can go into both 2 and 8, and that is 2, so I'm going to divide by 2 over 2. And so that would be 1/4. See, it's a little different. Now we're getting into variables attached with it. So again, you're going to have your line with an x as your denominator. And then you take your top and you go 9 minus 7. 9 minus 7 is 2 over x. And that's how you leave it. We're not finding out what x equals yet. We're not there yet. D. Our common denominator is y. And we go 11 plus negative 5. They're opposite signs, so you want to subtract in your head. So that would be 6. And 11's bigger than negative 5, so it's a positive 6. Alright, this one's a little different. They're not common denominators. You have a 3 and a 5, so you need to find your least common multiple of both 3 and 5. Well, 15 works really well, so I'm going to do 15 here and 15 here. So 3 times 15 is what? That's 5. So if I multiply the bottom by 5, I need to multiply the top by 5. So 2 times 5 is 10. 5 times what is 15? That's 3. If I multiply the bottom by 3, I need to multiply the top. So 3 times 3 is 9. Now I can add them up. So I have 15 on the bottom and 10 plus 9 on the top. So it would be 19/15. Now, this is an improper fraction because your bigger number's on top. So what you're going to do is you find out how many times 15 goes into 19. Well, 1 time. How much is left over? So that means like 19 minus 15 is 4. And then you leave the denominator the same. And then you check and see if any number can go into both 4 and 15, and there isn't. So there's your answer. We are going to do C next. That has a variable and a number at the bottom. So when you have a variable and a number, you find the least common multiple of the number, which would be 5. And the least common multiple of x, which is x. So this is going to be your denominator is 5x. So on the first one, what do I multiply x by to get 5x? I multiply by 5. Well, I multiply x by 5 to get 5x. If I multiply the bottom by 5, I need to multiply the top. So 9 times 5 is 45. Oh, can't even... And what do I multiply the second one by to get 5x? I have 5, so I need the x. So I'm going to multiply the bottom by x. I need to multiply the top. So that would be 7x. So now my common denominator is 5x. And my top will be 45 minus 7x. Now notice something. 45 and negative 7x are not the same, and you cannot reduce any of these on top or bottom, so here is your answer. So I'd like you to do B and D on your own. Put me on pause, and after you finish, push play, and I will have an answer for you. So here are your answers: 17 over 40 for B, and for D it's 11y plus negative 15 over 3y, or you could just done 11y minus 15 over 3y. Now, again, you need to show your work, not just keep playing and going, oh, well, Miss Carson gave me the answer, so no, please show your work. All right. Now we have some mixed numbers going. For adding and subtracting, you do not need to turn this into an improper fraction. You do need common denominators though. So A will be 2 and something plus this fraction. So we need to find a common denominator between 3 and 5, and that will be 15. 3 times 5 is 10, and times 3 is 9. So you do the big numbers first. So 2 plus, there's another big number, so you do 2. And then you take your 15, and you add the top numbers, 10 plus 9, which is 19. But we have a problem. 19 over 15 is still a improper fraction, so you have 2 plus. How many times does 15 go into? 19, one time. What's left over? 4/15. Now you add the big numbers together, so it would be 3 and 4/15. B. We're going to find a common denominator. That would be 40. And that would be 32. And that would be 15. So we're just going to subtract the 6 and the 2, which would be 4, and the 32 and the 15, which would be 17, over 40. Check and see if there's a number that can go into both 17 and 40, and there isn't, so there's your answer. We'll do C next, and then I'd like you to do D on your own. So, they're common denominators. So I'm going to turn this into an addition problem. So it's going to be negative 3 2/3 plus negative 4 1/3. Okay, they're both the same sign, so you're going to add the big number and the small number. So it'd be negative 3 plus negative 4, which would be negative 7. Same common denominator stays the same. And on top you would add, because there's a plus sign, so it would be 2 plus 1, which is 3. So you have negative 7 And then you're going to add 1. Don't do plus 1. Just keep it in the negatives the same, because it's a negative already, so it's going to be plus -1, which makes it -8. So keep the same sign when you have to add, when you have negatives. Alright, try D by yourself. Put me on pause. Check it out. See if you get it correct. Here's your answer, 3 3/5. Make sure you show your work. Goodbye.